Brittney, welcome back to the Nursing Show, and I'm so excited. You've been on and talked to us about IT stuff. You've talked to us about being involved with nurse informatics, and now you're an author. How cool is that?
It's I've done a lot of really cool stuff, including informatics nurse. To me, that was like, the culmination of all things nerdy in nursing. And then to come along and be able to write a book about the stuff I am passionate about was huge. It nearly killed me. It's a lot. It's different than a blog post where you're like, 30 minutes an hour, bing out, you're done. It's on the internet. People are saying stuff. When you write a book that's, close to 40,000 words, that's like writing, 80 blog posts at one time. So it was tough, but I'm glad to have finally done it.
You're not the first author I've talked to, and they all say the same thing, that writing the book is just quite a challenge and not at all what they expected. But the good news is apparently your second book's easier than your first book, if that's something that appeals to you.
I would say so. Actually, my husband and I are working on a zombie survival guide for women right now.
So cool.
Yeah, so I feel like since we've got through the process, it'll be better. And plus, since I'm already an author, nobody's going to be like, who's this weirdo writing about zombies? I can say, well, I know about nerdy things, so I must know about zombies, right?
Well, there you go. Oh, my daughter's going to love that. That's going to be on my birthday gift or Christmas list when it comes out, so make sure you let me know.
Hopefully pretty soon. Give or take 4 months or so is, I guess, going to be our deadline. Because I've learned with writing a book or with doing anything, even if you're self-publishing and doing yourself, if you don't set clear deadlines, you're never going to accomplish it.
That's the truth.
Which is one of the reasons why when I published the Nerdy Nurse's Guide to Technology, I went with a publisher because they really coached me and helped me through it. I do not think I could have done it how it needed to be done on its own by myself.
So tell us a little bit about the book. I mean, what gave you the idea to write this particular book when you started?
The publisher called me and said, oh my gosh, you have to write a book for us. You've got a great voice. And I said, really? And they told me a story about how the group of them were in a conference room reading a blog post of mine and laughing out loud. And I'm like, you've got to tell me where you are, because I just want to come and hug you all, because it's like the blogger dream to hear somebody is reading not only, an individual, but as a team, a business is getting some enjoyment out of something you're doing, especially, a publisher. So I was like, I was smitten. This is actually, I think in 2012 initially, and I had started on it then, got a brain tumor, took a break and said, don't think I can do this for a while, had surgery, recovered, then I started back up. So they coaxed me into it. I was not very confident, because there's a difference between being a blogger and an author. Primarily just the amount of content you have to produce at one time. Like I said, I'm an instant gratification kind of girl, and I'm a planner and all that kind of stuff, but I still like to have little victories along the way. And there were a few of them, but the majority of it was, just a month of me writing and going, oh my gosh, I don't think I can write another word. And then ultimately just finding some energy to do it some more. There were nights when I wrote 4 or 5 hours at a time. So, they approached me, and I don't know if I would have looked for a company to, pitched my idea to, had they not really told me that they had the confidence in me to do it. So I was thankful for that.
So tell us what the book's about, and some of the things that you decided upon as far as the topic, and the nerdy nurse. We all know that you're passionate about technology, but does this bring some of those passions for technology and marry them with your nursing side and say these are the types of things a nurse can use for technology?
You're absolutely correct. So it's a little bit of a broad technology guide. And it is meant for a nurse who uses technology frequently in her job or his or her job, or will be using it in the future. As you know, with meaningful use, almost all hospitals are getting onto an EMR, so they can't escape it. I found that a lot of nurses have a great disdain for it and a distaste in their mouth, and they are frustrated by the fact that they're forced to use it. So they never really see it as a positive. They just get these negative emotions about it.
Right.
So the book is a general guide to kind of show you some of the cool stuff you can do with technology, how it can improve your patient care, the cool things you can do with your own personal smartphone to kind of get you over that hump of this big intimidating thing that is causing you grief in your nursing life and in your personal life as well, if you aren't already using a smartphone and all that. So it's really like a big digital hug where it would be almost like I sat down and I had a one-on-one conversation with you and said, okay, let's talk about smartphones. Let's talk about tablets. Let's talk about computers. Let's talk about how you can use social media and the internet to improve your resume and, grow your personal brand. And let's talk about what your personal brand is and why that matters in nursing. So it's a whole big long mash of stuff. Like we would have had a 10-hour conversation, but the nice thing is unlike me in real life, you get to put the pause button on it, so you can take it in small digestible bites.
Okay.
So it's written like a dummy's guide.
Okay, all right. I can imagine. I have to say that nurses lag behind the technology curve when I look at other healthcare professions. I'm involved with the ProMed network, and so I talk to a lot of other podcasters that are from different healthcare professions, physicians and paramedics, and it seems like the nursing side of things really have this technophobia going on. There aren't the uptake of technologies and new media and things like that are much slower, it seems, from my perspective on the nursing side. Is that something you've seen as well?
I do see it. I honestly think some part of it has to do with budgets and money. If you're a physician in a hospital and you stomp your feet a little bit, you tend to get what you want a little bit more than the nurses because you make the hospital money. The nurses cost the hospital money.
Right.
So I think part of it's that. I think the other part is that nobody's really taken the time to educate nurses on the what technology can do for them versus what they have to do with it. So it's a forced to do versus a want to do. And I think that's the primary problem.
And the nurse on the floor is already overworked and understaffed and having to do so many different things, and then to have to learn new things along the way that like you said, it can be seen as a negative, even though there are some positive aspects that can improve their patient care. It's not always seen that way.
It's unfortunate, really. And I think a lot of it has to do with the way we educate and the way we deliver these things. I remember when I was when I worked on the floor before I became an informatics nurse, and I was a super user for bedside administration of blood transfusions. We did everything on paper, and then we transferred into blood transfusions. The nurses were scared in one regard, but they were also really apprehensive. When I sat down and talked to them about why they were apprehensive about this process, they just didn't want to mess it up. They didn't want to hurt their patients, and they were afraid that it would take too long. So historically, when we had all been taught something before, there would be somebody, either a boss or a manager or a supervisor, saying, you got to do this, what, blah, 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 and would be very negative about the whole process. And so I took a different approach, and I made it a very positive, think of how much time you'll be able to save. Think of that paper you won't have to keep up with. Think of the fact that you'll just be able to get it done, and the patient will see you've had it done. You won't have to worry if you lose anything, because those little slips we would lose quite often.
Oh, yeah.
No record that you gave that patient blood. So I approached it with a more of a positive attitude, and I found that people were a lot more receptive to it. And by the time it was all said and done, they were actually proud of themselves, and they felt they had accomplished something. And all it really took was an attitude shift. And I still see this happen today. I still see, nurse managers doling out new tasks and assignments to people who are super users that don't want to be super users. And so when they teach other people, they teach it in a very negative, you got to do it because I said attitude, instead of let me show you why this is awesome and why it will improve your patient care.
So give us a tip. Give us your favorite part of the book, the tip that you want, if you had to pick one thing out of the book that a nurse could take away from it. What is that one thing?
Okay, so totally not related to like direct patient care, but will improve your life. There's a chapter on there that has a lot to do with Google. And it shows you how to properly initiate a search engine. So if you have a patient with like a rare disease or condition and you want more information, it shows you how to search for things that are like scholarly articles or things that are a little more specific. I also teach you how to use Gmail to route all your email into one inbox. So instead of having to open multiple email accounts, You can open a Gmail account and open all your email in one location and reply from all your accounts in one space. And to me, those are really cool things that most people don't even think about the fact they exist, but once they're using them, they could not live life any other way.
And big time savers, really, and really improving patient care. If you know how to search better, you save time. You get the information you wanted the first time you look for it, and you get the right information, which means you're better at taking care of your patients at the end of the day.
So it really utilizes a lot of critical thinking skills, and I think nurses, it's almost like they turn that off. And as an informatics nurse, a lot of what I do is analyzing situations, critical thinking. People don't get that they're the same sort of thinking. I'm just critical thinking in a computer world versus a patient world, and to me, it's a little safer because nobody ever dies in IT. On the floor, you could really mess something up. So I really think that people kind of shut down when it comes to technology, when really all they have to do is utilize those critical thinking skills that nurses are great at. They just don't think that they apply. Yeah,
and if they would just bring some of that, they could apply those critical thinking skills to their technology use and really come out ahead of the game, and their patients come out ahead at the end of the day as well.
You're absolutely correct.
Well, Brittney, it's always a pleasure to have you on the show, and I hope that you will come on again. I'm sure there'll be other opportunities. I want to interview you about this zombie book you're coming out with, too, because it sounds exciting.
Related, except for the fact that I do feel that as a nurse, we are going to be, when the zombie apocalypse comes, we're going to be the last employment group that is employed, because somebody will have to take care of the zombies until we're sure that they're zombies.
Yeah, I agree.
There'll probably be a lot more of us that become zombies because of that, but I truly think that we'll have a job up until the very end.
That's the way to think about it. Well, Brittney Wilson, tell us where we can find you and find your book.
So you can find me at thenerdynurse.com and then all related social media channels. My book is available on Amazon. I believe it's actually available on Barnes & Noble and all those other crazy places. But if you come to thenerdynurse.com, there's first blog post is all about it, and you can click right through and order it on Amazon. It's either in paperback or Kindle. I think it's on sale right now, and the last I checked, it was sold out, so that was pretty cool.
You mean you're going into your second printing already? That's so awesome.
Well, I guess second shipment.
Second shipment, okay. Well, it's available on Kindle, which means it's a digital book, and it's a great way for somebody to get started in their technology journey by getting the digital version of the Nerdy Nurse book. Absolutely. It's fully indexed, so if you just want to look for a specific topic, you can go right there and flip right to your page, or of course on Kindle you can click right to your page. It's also, the table of contents is very digestible, and again, it's written in a conversational style. This is not a textbook. This is a book that you can sit down and really feel like you're just having a conversation with me. Very much in the style of my blog, and very much in the style that the chat we're having right now. It's exciting. There's excerpts, there's notes and tips to help you improve your day. So it's really not something that will be overwhelming. It's a fun read, and hopefully, will be something that people put to refer to later. Well, it's the next book in the queue for me. I'm in the middle of reading a paramedic book that somebody wrote, but it's the next book on the table next to the bedstand right now, and I can't wait to dig in. So, Brittney, thank you so much, and we'll have links to all of this in the show notes and links to your blog and everything else. And thanks again for coming on the Nursing Show. Thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited that you have a copy, and I'd love to know what all of you think.